Right, now we're going live.
Right.
So, hi Lou, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Stephen Webb, my brother in spirit. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, I'm good. We've got the sound all sorted. That's why we're running a little bit
Yes,
late. We got a few
very
people
good.
in. We got Cheryl and Anne's here. Tessa's here, Holly's here, Anna.
Great.
Cool, so we got Australia, we got America, got Canada, UK,
Okay,
and Ireland
good.
with you.
Well, the whole English-speaking world right here.
Yeah. So we got no subject, no agenda today. It's just whatever comes up.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my angel card today was forgiveness. You see that?
Perfect.
Yes, how's that for a topic? Yeah.
That's the start of everything apparently. You know, if you learn to forgive yourself, I cannot drop my cup of tea now. My hand's jammed on it.
Uh-oh.
Let's try a different way. No, I'm going to try to drink a bit more
Okay.
and then I won't spill it.
All right, my friend. You do amazingly well. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves.
Yeah, there was a wonderful
What,
thing
what,
I read years ago. Someone said, not forgiving someone is like um, drinking our own poison or drinking poison and hoping the other person's going to be affected by it.
exactly. Exactly. Blaming someone else for our mistake, really.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there was a big forgiveness I done in recent years, and it was my long-term girlfriend. She cheated on me for
Yes.
6 months, and when I eventually found out, we made a clean break, but it hurt a
Right.
lot. And then
Sure.
we made the complete break, and about 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, she sent me a text and apologized. Said, I'm sorry for what I did. And
Yes.
I realized in that moment that I had fully forgiven her because I wasn't worried about the apology. I wasn't waiting for
Right.
it. I wasn't expecting it.
Right. Right.
And I just text back and said, I've forgiven you a long time ago. It's now for you to do the work and forgive yourself. Because
Exactly.
by that time, I'd got past wanting an apology. It,
Yes. Well, you'd come to peace of mind because you'd done the work of forgiving.
yeah. So
Yeah.
how do we
I mean, it's
forgive? How, you know,
70 times 7, as it says in the Bible, over and over again. But as you said, Stephen, it's about continuing to realize we're creating our reality and we're responsible for our actions and we will make mistakes and we do have blind spots and weaknesses and fears and all of that. But if we acknowledge that and take responsibility for that, then we can forgive ourselves and each other and start again, move on.
that's a big one. The taking the responsibility because as much as we want other people to apologise for what they did to us and everything. Very often there is a part that we've played, and
Always.
admitting that. That's the journey, is admitting that and forgiving ourselves as well as forgiving them. And like you said, it's
Yeah.
not about them. It's got nothing to do with them. You don't even have to tell them you've forgiven them.
Right, right. Exactly. I know when I've forgiven because I come back to peace of mind. And if I peace of something, then that says I still have work to do, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and yes, there are three, this is in my ebook, there are three illusions that the ego creates around forgiveness and why we refuse to or ask for forgiveness. And the three are one, we think it's abdicating the other person's part in it. Two, we think it's saying that what happened is okay. And three, it's we think that it's inviting something like that to happen again. and basically they're all just our own ego excuses, because none of those are really what it's about. As we're all learning here, it's about coming back to peace of mind and feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah. That
You know,
that second one is really poignant, and I hear lots of people say, this forgiveness is all well and good, Stevie. I see the merit in it. I understand it, but
right,
but
right,
but really, some things are just not forgivable, and I hear that quite a lot. And I dare say I've said it so many times, or thought it, at least in my life. You know, so these people
yeah,
are going to go their whole lives with this anger. And we almost think
right,
that if we release this anger and we let it go, that we're letting them off for what they did. That we're saying
sure,
it's okay for them to betray us,
sure,
hurt us, to do what they did. And that's not what
yeah.
we're saying at all when we forgive.
Right. We're saying that this happened, and I have some part in inviting this into my life, that I'm not just the victim or just the victimizer, that we're all trying to wake up and heal and grow. And as we learn to do that, we need to continue to keep taking responsibility for what we create.
Yeah. I'm just bringing in a few
And
comments
when we
here.
do, yeah, very good. When we do, then we get our power back, you see, to change the situation. As long as we judgment of ourselves and each other, nothing changes.
Yeah. So some practical steps on forgiveness, because, you know, it's difficult for me to say exactly how I forgave. It was a journey, it was a process, and it took a long time. But how did I
Yeah,
do it? Really, it was more about there's other things that are more important in my life than that constant bringing up of this pain. Because every time I thought about it, every time, and especially when, in my case, that was the biggest thing that I learned to forgive, was being cheated on. And being perfectly honest, we come up with all these scenarios in our head of what's really going on. We suddenly think they're having a relationship of everything that we didn't have. So the mind is
yeah,
doing all these games and all that on us. And it was so painful that I had to get rid of that somehow. And I did
right,
not embark on forgiveness. That wasn't the journey. I didn't sit there and go, right, I need to forgive. It wasn't
right,
until I forgave that I realized that that was the answer.
right, right. Well, in my morning prayers, we look at the Course in Miracles every day, and let me remember that forgiveness is my function. And until we, it basically, the Course is this 1,200-page channeled work about the importance of forgiveness, and how, as you said, um, it happens over time. It doesn't happen instantly. It takes the willingness to keep working at coming back to peace. It takes the willingness to keep seeing the situation through God's eyes, basically, rather than just our own perspective. And it keeps coming back to the willingness to love ourselves in order to live our life. When we sit in judgment of ourselves, which basically is what all fear and pain and judgment comes from, is that limited perspective, then we're trapped, and there's no way out of that trap except through love and forgiveness.
Yeah. And there's nothing more stronger than the imaginary walls we build. You know.
Oh, we create our own prison.
Yeah. And it is out of love for ourselves, it's out of protection. We've almost got to, when we fall into love the first time and then we get hurt, things happen and these things arise. It's almost inevitable we have to learn to protect ourselves. But then it's
Of
so
course.
hard to take down those barriers and to be vulnerable and to be, and the forgiveness
Sure.
is almost the ultimate vulnerability. I'm
Yes.
open and willing for people to hurt me again. That's basically what we're open and willing to say, and the
Ah,
teaching is love.
Well, yes, there's you're giving me something now, my friend. It's so this is the mystery of vulnerability, and it's a paradox, as you said. It's a willingness to be so open and honest and intimate and vulnerable that people could hurt you, but it's
Yeah,
also the trust that people can love you and
yeah,
heal you and understand you and help you to grow. So yes, we have to get naked. You know, even the president of the United States must sometimes have to stand naked. The great Bob Dylan line, "It's all right, Mom, I'm only bleeding." Um, but yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It takes great willpower and willingness and a lot of surrender to open up to those deeper, darker places within us and to show them to each other.
yeah. Love is an open wound that never heals, Mother Teresa says.
Well, okay.
You
I mean,
know,
it's
just
yeah.
go on.
Sorry, there's a brief delay in our audio here. Sorry. It's not all pain. It's not all
No, of
sorrow.
course.
It's not all suffering. All right. So you see, but see, that's what the ego holds on to. Is it tries to protect and defend itself against an attack that it keeps inviting.
Yeah,
You know. So the vulnerability, the true healing, the true forgiveness happens through our willingness to let go of those attack thoughts from ourselves and from others, and then you do start to live in more of a space for grace and less of a battle.
yeah. Well, exactly. And what I was saying about the open wound, and the way I take it as an open wound. Oh, I've got an appointment at 11 o'clock. Oh, forgot that. That's come up on my
Hello.
calendar right now. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I just yeah. But what is that? What I'm saying about the open wound is purely it. It's not all pain, like you were saying. It's about the repairing of it
Right.
as well, and it is a dance with the both things. But you cannot have this love and vulnerability without being open and, like you say, being naked. I
That's right.
wish you hadn't mentioned the president in that because I've still got that in my head now. That's vulnerability in itself.
Well, sure, sure.
Um,
Yeah.
I,
I mean, go on.
I want to go to a comment here a moment.
Okay. Great.
Can you see the
Um,
comments come up?
yes. Will I read that or you too? Or?
I can read it. Absolutely true. You have to forgive to release. Otherwise, you hold on to it going forward, and it hurts you again and again and again. And that's the thing. We often really think it's the other person is being punished by us holding and retaining it, and they're just not being punished. They're not bothered. They moved on. They're not thinking about it.
Exactly. Right. Right. That's right. Everyone has their own unique relationship to what happens. Excuse me. And forgiveness is I temporarily forgot who I am and who you are. That we're both sons of God, basically. And in my forgetting, I've created this illusion of pain and struggle and lack and whatnot. And I want to remember who we really are. So I want to make amends and forgive and be forgiven and move on.
What I'm going to do, Lou, I'm going to bring you up on the screen and put
Okay.
you in the hot seat for 5 minutes.
Okay.
You've got my live, friend. I've got to let this person's
Oh,
appointment that's trying to
sure.
get through to me.
Okay.
You've got my
Okay.
whole
Very good.
live and channel in your hands for a few minutes.
Okay. Great. Well, all right. So, my friends, I don't see the. Let's see if I can get your questions here. Yeah. Um, yeah. I'm going through my own dramas around fitness, worth, all these challenges. So this is extremely good timing for me. Without forgiveness, we aren't free. Letting it go will bring more love to our hearts, allowing us to love ourselves so we may love others. A real freedom for us. Cheryl, thank you so much. Yeah, it's never about the other person. it's or the situation. It's always about seeing as clearly as possible and learning to love ourselves in the moment. And this is why, as I say, the course is so such a powerful tool. We'll forget, and then we'll work to remember. We'll be clear, and then we'll get confused. We'll be in our integrity, and then we'll drop out of our integrity. We'll be honest, and then we'll be dishonest with ourselves or another. And it's just the willingness to dance with it as honestly and as spiritually and responsibly as possible every day. And we need help. Every one of us need help. I need help. You need help. Everyone on planet Earth needs help. So the news is we can ask for that help, and that help will always show up for us. And then we want to take the opportunity that Spirit presents us to move in the direction that we're being called into, and then we'll see things change. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. I just give them a call. In technology, amazing.
Oh, very good.
I just phoned them.
It's wonderful.
Like, New York on the phone, and just like,
oh, brilliant.
I'm at awe every day of technology.
Yes, wonderful.
Going back to a couple of comments while we're here. Can't have that trust if you don't forgive the past hurts. Yeah, it's true, and I don't know what you were just saying then, actually, because I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Well, it's okay. I mean, honestly, it's Cheryl had a good message there as well. I think I was just saying that we need to learn to do this every day, especially being on a spiritual path. The higher we climb up the mountain, the more beautiful the view, the narrower the path. So when we need to acknowledge that and do the responsible thing. It's not hard unless we make it hard. It's as hard as we make it. That's the way I want to say it. But what I was saying also is asking for help.
Yeah, very, very much. And about the narrowing the path. And this is what they talk about, the spiritual journey is, you very often hear that it's lonely and it's not easy and things like that. And that is what I'm guessing what you mean by narrowing the path as well.
Yes.
Fewer and fewer people are getting to the altitude you're getting to.
Right. So there's a greater need to be honest with ourselves.
Yes. I was saying about that in our live this morning, not so much being honest with ourselves, but being honest with what's coming up, and not and just labeling what's coming up, but not labeling it and going with it and fearing it or anything like that. And it's just purely, that's what's happening inside of me now. I'm okay with what's happening inside of me now, whether it's shame, guilt, desires, enlightenment. Be okay with, and I can't remember what spiritual teacher said that whatever arises, love that.
That's Matt Kahn.
Yeah, I done a few years ago. I done his audiobook, and I just love that. It's so simple, and you were saying about it's every moment. It really is. That's something that I'm learning more and more. It's not about getting to a place of, call it enlightenment, call it whatever you want. It's not about getting there and you're there. It's about going there every moment, again and again and again.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be there and you'll slip out. Exactly. And being very honest that I'm not there right now. I've fallen off my bicycle. I've slipped up. I've made a mistake. Yeah, I want to change this.
Anybody can ask questions, by the way. Just put like a little couple of cues and all that. And like I say, there's no subject today, so talk about anything. Ask anything.
Sure. Sure.
Talk about.
Do you see Donna's comment?
I do. Yes, I just put it up actually.
Oh,
Learn
very good.
from,
Yeah,
say thank you for the lesson, and always have faith you are being steered in the right direction from it. Yes,
that's good.
everything,
That's very
everything
good.
is here to serve us. Everything is here
Yes,
for me,
yes,
which is,
yes.
reframing that. And I've always said I believe there's a gift in everything. Just sometimes we
I
got to look a little
absolutely.
deeper.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the bigger the lesson, the deeper you have to look to find the gift.
Yeah. And it's not easy. And
You
it goes
know.
back to you have to be really vulnerable to look into it deeply. And you're not always going to see it there and then either.
Right. 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 Well, so if we ask for help, it gets easier, And the way I like to do it is, we've all learned to pray in the Western world in this crazy way, which is begging and hoping and looking and waiting and wondering, and that's not really the way that I work any longer. It's ask and give thanks, ask and say, I know it's done, ask and be grateful. Right, here's Cheryl talking about her son's murderer.
Um,
Yeah,
See,
God bless you.
that to me is the ultimate forgiveness. That when you can forgive things like that, but it frees Cheryl. I don't know her circumstance. I don't know.
Right, right,
Um, but yeah, otherwise we have a lifetime of anger, a lifetime of, and it
right.
doesn't mean it's okay. It,
Well, no, but what it means is you've gotten the message, Stephen.
yeah,
You've gotten the message that this was out of alignment to this extent. Your life was inviting this tragic, difficult, painful experience for whatever reason, my life, our lives, and to come back to feeling hopeful and good and safe, we need to forgive, you know.
yeah. Just going through a few comments here now.
They're great. I love our chats. I love your group. You have a wonderful audience.
Um, yeah. Also, you do morning prayers every morning at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. Which
Hmm.
they can all.
Hmm.
We'll put up some links to your pages and your groups now in a moment. But you do that every morning,
Thank
nine
you.
o'clock. Tell everyone about them.
Yes, sure. Well, I'm a channel, and I work with people one to one in sessions for healing, clarity, and growth. And the whole thing with studying channel material. I share all the channel material, all my teachers. I share Abraham. I share Eileen Caddy. I share Sanaya Roman and Helen Schuckman, who channeled the Course in Miracles, etc. So I've fallen in love with channeling and the channeled material because it is such a clear message of love and empowerment. So I do that live every morning to set the intention and to set the vibration for the day.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is such divine timing here today, Stephen, because Sunday, which is just 2 days ago, amazingly, was a huge opening for the energies of the planet as I experienced it. And I did 2 hours of video, basically. I did an interview with a beautiful spiritual teacher in the UK, Kira Diane Lester, and that's on my page, and that was amazing. And she brought through some energy at the end of that, which is very powerful. And then I did a meditation and a channeling for an hour, 30 minutes each. And so yesterday was 90 minutes, and then today was an hour. We did some manifesting techniques today. So it's a really high vibration energy week, is what I'm saying here. And things are really getting stirred up and lifted up, and brought to the surface. So this is my greatest joy, is to help people learn to listen to, trust, and follow their inner guidance. And forgiveness is an essential tool on this path. Every one of us needs it
Yeah.
every day. So it's great that this is the theme here.
And and I love our chats because we differ in quite a few ways. Um,
Yeah.
you do your channeling and things like that, and you talk about energies and things like that. Um, which I agree with energies and things like that. You can be in a room full of a load of people, and someone that you don't even know can walk in and not say a word, and you feel the energy change. There's definitely energies.
Yes.
That's what we all are. Um,
Yeah.
Talk about when you say the shift in energies and things like that. Where do you get the shift in energies? Is it planets? Is it, because I hear about Mercury retrograde and things like that, and I have to be honest,
Right.
I I don't buy it as much as what
Right.
that as much as what some other people do. And it doesn't mean to say it's not any less true or something. It just isn't. It doesn't
Sure.
feel true to me.
Yes, it's not relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 Well, yeah, I'll tackle that that open subject. Um, I mean, I have studied astrology quite a bit, and it is a helpful tool for me to understand how energies do change in our physical world, and there definitely is a map in astrology because what you work with on one level in all that we do is what's called archetypal energies, Carl Jung's term
yeah,
for essential building blocks of creation. And the easiest way, if people are familiar with astrology, of course, it's the planets, the houses, and the signs. But a simpler way to work with it is with the tarot deck, or any of the oracle cards that people use, etc. The warrior, the magician, the lover, the world, etc. These are all parts of ourself, because as the saying goes, as above, so below, and as within, so without. That was spoken by Hermes back in the day. So, in my own experience and study of metaphysics and all these things, the wisdom teachings, there is a lot of relevance there. But of course, the where I respect people's detachment to some of these ideas is that it's not everything,
yeah,
and a lot of people can mistake the map for the territory and get lost in the details and miss the big picture, you know.
yeah,
So the energy, my own experience, I had this awakening in meditation 30 years ago, and that allowed me to be physically more receptive to the energy of spirit. And then I opened to channel 5 years after that. So I've been working with my guides in this very powerful way. And every time I channel, it lifts my vibration up. And I'm high for quite a while
yeah,
afterwards, sometimes the rest of the day. So I know my heart is opening, and I know that I know that the energy that comes through me is more than myself. So that's why I was mentioning asking for prayer and giving thanks and things like this. What I also know in terms of energy is that the measurement of the earth itself, the frequency has gone up and up and up and up and up and up and up over the last 30 years or so, and it continues to climb every day. It's not going down any longer. So when people talk about ascension, this is one of the ways to understand that we were born at a particular vibration, and we are evolving with the earth and helping the earth to evolve, and she is certainly helping us to manifest life at a higher vibration. So, excuse me. So now what I'm doing, honestly, myself, is working very deliberately with my energy every day, more consciously than ever before. And a friend has taught me a technique like working with abundance or working with healing. You take the issue and you bring the energy into your body, the energy into what the issue is, and you work with the energy of that as like a
yeah,
ball of light. And you send, you say, is my abundance strong today? Is my health strong today? Or does it need, something here? Or has it gotten smaller? Or has it gotten larger? And honestly, just by doing that, you get centered for 2 minutes and bring the energy in, and then you do that for 2 minutes and work with the energy, and then you let it go.
yeah.
Just by doing that little technique, honestly, things have begun
Yeah,
to bubble
absolutely.
up and
Yeah,
open up.
and
So,
I love that
yeah,
explanation. And what's really become apparent for me, because I'm very much my spiritual journey took me more towards Zen, took me more towards that kind of side. And we do
sure.
meditations with the pillar of light, the ever circling pillar of light. It's a similar thing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
what's more apparent in my life now is about inclusion rather than excluding. And
Oh yeah.
you know, Zen have a term with the 10,000 voices and all these different
Hmm.
things. Really, the differences are not, the difference are the tools in which we use and
Yeah.
really the words in which we express the differences. There really isn't that many differences.
I agree.
It's about how we can ascend the energy, how we can transcend and include. The include is so important. You know,
Yes. Yes.
nobody is 100% wrong, and
Right.
whether it doesn't matter which book you open, it doesn't matter which practice you do in the morning, whether it's a prayer, whether it's on a mat for religion, if it's opening your heart and opening your understanding, and less overstanding and less my way is the only way. So more
Yeah.
compassion, more
Yes.
understanding. More,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter how.
Well, that's right. That's right. It's all ice cream. One is chocolate, the other is
Exactly.
vanilla. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not right or wrong if you like chocolate or vanilla. Um, yeah, man. No, I love what you're saying, and Zen was a huge part of my own spiritual path as well, to try to help me get out of my overthinking, overcritical, overanalytical Western mindset. And I love the joy of it, and the playfulness of it, and the the openness of it, you know, and the humor. Honestly, the humor of it. You know, Zen is a hysterically funny way to see life, because it's liberated from this good, bad, right and wrong, black and white,
Yeah.
you know, worldview. Yeah, but it's nice to hear about working with the energy as well. I wasn't familiar with that part of it.
Yeah, very much. And see, Zen is very. There was one teacher that made all the difference to me, and I read many Zen books, Alan Watts and things like that. That many
Yeah,
people you can go and listen to. They're brilliant. They're brilliant ways of very articulate and creative ways of trying to explain this. But none of it made sense to me. Not any of
sure.
it. And
Right.
you know, it
That's
was
the
like
starting point.
how many books does it take to explain what emptiness is? And yet I didn't know what emptiness was. You know, I just did not get it. So I was searching, and I was almost becoming attached to wanting this emptiness.
Sure.
And
Sure. That's why
I
you couldn't experience it, you see.
no, no. Well, you cannot want something and have it.
That's right. That's
I want to
exactly
be
right.
happy. Well, you missed the mark already.
Right, right,
And
right.
Junpo come along, and he said, just sit down and shut up and listen. And
Hmm.
he asked a question that is just so powerful to me, is can you listen without judgment, opinion, and going with it? Just sit and listen, listen,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah.
And after a while, you sit there, and it's like, oh, a thought can go in, and I don't have to go with it. I don't have to get mad with it. And then you extend that. Oh, I can have someone else can have an opinion, and I don't have to rubbish it, tear it up, shoot my opinion back. They can be right, and I can be okay with not correcting them if I think they're wrong. And just
Right.
that one question led to everything. So when we get rid of all the noise, all the funnel of opinion, beliefs, desires, guilt, shame, all of the hierarchy of feelings, you let what the fear is with Zen is you're left with nothing. You're left with a, a huge storehouse of anything you want. And the first thing that comes out of that is ultimate compassion and love. And
Mm, mm,
then you choose
hmm.
what to do with it from there. Whereas we were, or for me, for certainly a long time, and I think everybody, we're trying to bring all of the noise of life to that love and to the understanding and the compassion. And you just can't do it. You've got to turn it around and do it the other way up.
Yes, yes, that's well said. The phrase that came to my mind, that's beautifully said, Stephen. Thank you for that. The phrase to my mind from my guides recently is they're mutually exclusive. You're
Yes.
either in that state of receptivity or you're in a state of resistance.
Yeah. Just going through a few of the comments now.
Yes, these are wonderful.
It's great to see so many people here as well in the morning. I'm thinking that in
Oh
America,
God.
it's like, it must be like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning for some of these.
It's
It,
amazing, my friend. I get people in the middle of the night for my morning prayers from California.
I get them from Australia. I think Lisa's
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Australia. Lisa Kane's in Australia. So it's
Okay.
late in the evening for them now.
Yes. Yes.
Um, Debbie asked the question, what is the work of forgiving?
Right. Right. Debbie, bless you. Um, I mean, I'll just kind of try to say again what we've said so far in a clearer way. If I am in fear or judgment, then I need to do something to come back to peace. And my fear and my judgment keep me knowing that I'm not my true self in that moment. And my true self is not struggling, my true self is at peace. So the work of forgiveness is to come back to my true self. I want peace. I want peace of mind. I want to live from a place of peace. When I've done something or somebody else has done something or hasn't done something that I judge as wrong and bad and, you know, malevolent, whatever, I'm in my lower self. I'm in my ego. I'm in my hidden agenda. I'm in my struggle. So it's okay. There's no judgment about that from the universe, but everything you want is in your higher self in a state of peace. And forgiveness brings you back into that state. And it's priceless. Everything you want is in that state of peace. Does it make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I just go without trying to preload what I say. Because if I preload, I forget. I was just listening to what you were saying, and it makes perfect sense. And you explain it so well. That's why. That's why I learned to shut up. Um,
Thank you.
the other thing from the mind in forgiveness, the ego, the I.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a question that I always like to ask, and that is, how do you know that they actually did you wrong? That they actually did. Maybe their job in life was to do exactly what they had to do to you for something for
Sure.
you. And of course, you
Hmm.
cannot answer that question with anything other than you don't know. Maybe it
Well,
was the only
let
way the
me,
universe had to teach you this lesson, to give you something for something that might happen in the future to you that someone else needs.
yeah. Yeah, that's very good. You're 90% there, my friend. To what I have to say about that. Which, and again, it's easy to say this, my good man. It's extremely humbling to try to live it every day. And I just want to say, I don't want to pretend for a moment that I have all of this mastered. I absolutely do not. I have my own struggles with everything I'm talking about here. I promise you. Um, the way my guides have put it to me is that has happened was necessary or it wouldn't have been allowed to happen. And you're absolutely right. You're talking about Matt Kahn. We're talking about compassion and love and loving what shows up. There's a quote from the course from Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, which I recommend to everyone if they don't know it. And he says, God says to Neil, I've sent you nothing but angels. And it's like, okay, so what I want to say is we are who we think we are. And who we think we are, who we believe we are, that's the life that we're calling forth. And when we want a better life, then change has to either come from within us or from outside of us. Carl Jung says, what you resist within you has to come at you as fate. So can I clear my mind? Can I soften my heart? Can I bless this situation? Can I give this situation to God for God's purpose? Can I do my part in what I'm inspired to do, to take responsibility for creating or allowing this situation? These kinds of statements. And then you see what changes. You know, the word that comes to mind is sincerely, and it is with all your heart. And when you love God, life, truth, Zen, when you love it with all your heart, then all your stuff
Yeah.
gets thrown out of the way. All your stuff comes up to be released, and all your stuff gets released in the process of surrendering. So it's just, there's no way. I don't think there. I have this conversation with one of my friends. Abraham talks about, well, we've never judged, so we don't really need to forgive. We don't believe in forgiveness because we don't believe in judgment, which some people find that very helpful, and I respect that. But I have a lot of fear and judgment about myself and others every day. So I don't know how to live life without forgiveness, simply put.
And A Course of Miracles just teaches us to teach one thing: love.
Right,
Ultimately, that's
right.
all we're teaching. We might think it's everything else at school and all of that. That's not. You're just training a memory. That's ultimately. And as something you said then reminds me of I think it's Helga Weiss. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Her diary when she was in Auschwitz and all that has just been found recently and published. And she
Oh,
said the
yeah.
deep well of love and compassion is covered by grit. You know, you need it all there. Just like Thich Nhat Hanh says about that: no mud, no lotus.
Right, exactly. No, no,
We need these
yeah,
people in our lives to shit on us occasionally, because you're not going to grow without
yeah.
it.
Well, yes, that's rather a hard metaphor, but I'll dance with that. It's the thing is, here's like when you're saying, Our Lady, Mother Teresa says, "Love is a wound that never heals." Well, I mean, okay, here's what I find in the channeled material than in some of the traditional spirituality. And we're, again, to come back to our conversation about energy and how things are changing. Like one time, my teacher Lazarus said, "You've lived in a world between fear and love. You have free will. You've come to this world to use your will. You're in choosing, and you're choosing between fear and love. That's all right. But live in a world between happiness and joy. It does not have to be the extreme darkness, pain, and loneliness that we've experienced past. But it is a choice. That won't ring true for everyone. That won't make sense for everyone. But for me, it makes perfect sense, because if God is unconditional love, which is my personal experience of that, then why would we need to suffer except our unness? Pain is a part of life, but it's a choice. So when we forgive, we end the suffering.
Yeah.
When we send love to our pain, we end our struggle about our pain. When we see everyone and everything as an angel in disguise, then we stop running from it in terror, and we start facing it and asking for it to deliver the message that it came to give us.
Yeah. Every single person is God.
Yes, that's right. We are all sons and daughters of the Most High God, of God, Goddess, all that is. We're spiritual beings
Yeah.
having a human experience. And honestly, we're living in this moment of awakening where the vibration and human history, human destiny is all lining up. I mean, to bring up something as dramatic as Auschwitz, we're trying to grow beyond that. We're trying to grow beyond a world of war and suffering and all of that. And it's absolutely within our reach. And my guides have said, you will all get there. So, if that's a possibility, and I believe them when they say that it is, why wouldn't we give ourselves to being open to that every day?
Yeah. And I
That's
think
my joy.
it's I put something on my Facebook the other day about we think we're trying to become great spiritual people. We're not.
Right,
We're
right.
already that. We're trying to work out how to be great humans. That's what we're trying to work out.
Well said. Beautifully
That's
said.
where the
That's the
confusion
truth of.
is. Um,
That's exactly right.
and to be a human is to experience all these feelings.
Yes.
I know it's a duality sense, and And in the Zen world, drop the duality and things like that. But we live in a duality of world. Everything is relative. To a human, there is good and bad, the duality. So you're going to have, you imagine getting to the end of your life and someone telling you, oh, you can turn the tape over because you've only experienced half the feelings of being a human. I would be
Right,
so
right.
disappointed. So,
Yes,
why deprive yourself of the deeper feelings that the spiritual journey isn't about getting rid of pain. It's about not suffering. It's about feeling pain deeper on a more profound sense. But you can experience bliss and joy on a more profound sense because of that same thing.
yes. That's beautifully. Again, I'm going to agree with 90% of that, my friend. Uh, my experience with healing with spirit is that, and like you're talking so eloquently about our emotional nature. My guides say that the heart knows what the mind struggles to believe. And so in my work right now, I'm working very deliberately with my thinking, with my affirmations, with my prayer work to help my heart feel safe to be open.
Yeah,
And what happens when the heart opens, as you said, is we let go of all the grief, anger, sorrow that we have been afraid of, controlled, denied, projected onto other people, projected onto the president, projected onto the world, et cetera, whatever. It's a hall of mirrors. It's a game of
yeah,
shadows. You know, and all I know is that when I'm in my best mind, I have the courage to face my fears, to feel my feelings, to find my freedom. That's the quote from my guides. And it takes all of that. It's such an inspiring. It's what a great gift this is to be able to sit and talk about these ideas with you and with your group here. It's transformative every time we tune into the trend and let it begin to come through us and help us to lift up. The pain, the fear, that's that we are not available to that. It's not possible for us. That's somehow outside of who we are. And
yeah,
as you said so beautifully, it is the essence of who we are, but we have to really go within. Otherwise, we go without. We have to really learn to listen to, trust, and
absolutely.
follow that inner guidance. And when we do that, things change for the better.
I love that. We have to go within, otherwise we go without. And that is,
Hmm.
we just don't get to experience what it's like to be like to be a whole human, because that's what it is. We're becoming whole humans, experience everything. Um, Debbie says here, something that is helping me a little at the moment is realizing what others do tells me about them and not me, as we are forgiving myself and others. And that goes with what you were just saying about the mirrors. Um, what
Yeah, it's good.
I agree with what Debbie's saying, and I'll say the 90% now.
All right.
Um,
Your turn.
I agree with what Debbie's saying entirely. It is about them. But it also, if it triggers us, that's about us, and that's where the mirrors now evolved. If something's bothering us, it's true that it's not about them. But if it's bothering us, it's something about us. They're
That's
pointing to
right.
something within us that we need to
Yeah.
look at. And very
Yes.
often, yeah, it's they don't know. They don't. It's irrelevant to them. We're all
Right.
projecting our stuff. Everyone.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Go on.
so while you're addressing that, I'm going to go to a few comments because there's quite a few good ones that I've
Sure.
missed.
Sure. Brilliant.
Um,
Brilliant. Well,
so
again, the deeper we go, sorry, just real quickly, the deeper we go, the more we come back to the truth of who we are. I have another friend on the path, Ingrid Turner, who's a wonderful teacher and channel herself. And I tell her she's 30 and she knows as much as I do, if not more, about all these things. It's quite humbling. Um, but we were both agreeing, Stephen, that as you know, as a meditator, to come back to yourself is a process of surrender, deeper, 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 until you finally come back to that sense of peace. And when you can sustain that sense of peace for a little while, it feeds you, it heals you, it inspires you. Then you come back out into your conscious mind and you remember again who you are and what to do. And that's the gift. You have to, that's what we get when we go within.
Yeah. And you say come back to ourselves. My practical, the practical side of that is, and I've done it probably 10, 15 times in this life, is that I would just sit, I would just straighten up a little bit and take a deep breath and imagine my heart and my chest expanding. That's my vehicle, that's my tool to start that transition to.
Great.
And
peace. Yeah.
It's coming back to it again and again and again. It's
right.
It's not like, I don't know, I was trying to think of a metaphor and I can't. It really isn't. You don't do it once and you're there. It's a constant, every moment, again and again and again. Right.
Well, yes. I mean, the deep. I love that. That I quite agree with you. That's my experience as well, my friend. The answers are within, but we need to go there and we need to empty out our agenda in order to hear them. And I love your technique of opening your heart and expanding your chest and sitting up straight and strong and true. All of that is very very important as well. To know that we deserve the answers, that we deserve the guidance, that we deserve the healing. Again, the pain and the fear and the loneliness and the struggles and the depression that we all go through, that is this is Abraham now. That is there because who we really are is not struggling.
Yeah.
Who we really are is not afraid. Who we really are is not lonely. So, which side of the fence am I going to live from? It's consciously choosing that. That's the conscious part that we do every day. Yes.
Yeah. I just want to read, Charles, before we carry on. That is why it is so important to forgive yourself, so you may love yourself more, and then letting that love flow to others. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cheryl.
It'd be so nice if we can, either when I release my book in London or something like that, and I go to America now, that we just get everybody all in a room together, sit around the table, just everybody.
Sure.
The energy of these lives and the people, you guys that make all the comments and all that, really make.
Yes.
It's just such nice energy. I just so enjoyed it. I could sit here all day doing this.
Oh, brilliant! Yes. Well, actually, I'm coming to the UK at last. I'm invited to come for the summer solstice in June at Glastonbury. So, and I'm legal finally to travel in and out of Ireland. I got my residency sorted. So that is within the realm of the possible at last. And I'm also going to Denmark for 2 weeks at the end of March, beginning of April. So yeah, things are really opening up. So I will see that happening with you, my friend. I would love to be there for that.
I'm here reading the comments.
That's good.
I'm trying to catch up a bit because we're going to have to go shortly. So I want to get to make sure we don't miss any questions.
Sure.
So if anybody's got any questions for me or Lou or anything before we go, are you right for another 10 minutes, Lou?
I'm having the time of my life here, my friend. Are you kidding? That's why I'm inviting myself to your guest room right here.
Is there anything else comes up for you? There's loads comes up for me. I sit here and whenever I take a deep breath, my ego jumps in and goes.
I really do have stuff that I'm healing right now. So getting the opportunity to talk about all these things and to share all these ideas is extremely helpful, relevant, personal. Yeah. So and that's wonderful.
I shared whether it's called grounding, whether it's called bringing back to present moment or anything like that. How do you do it for you? How do you come back to the moment?
How do I ground?
Yeah, how do you? I sit up, I take my deep breath, and I become present and listen, or
Hmm. Hmm.
What practical
That's a
tips?
great,
How do you do it?
right. Well, as I say, honestly, there are so many ways to do it. You know, my guides say if you take 3 deep breaths, you will begin to come back to center. Here's the message, and this is what I strive to practice. They say, go into peace as often and as deeply as possible. And from there, you will remember more of who you are, and you will be better able to bring that true self out into your life and out into the world. And as we're saying, my friend, it is just practice, practice every day. That is the path, the journey, the destination. You know, the quality of getting there, the means of getting there is the quality of being there. When we want to manifest it, we need to own it. You know, you don't want to be happy, you be happy, and you see what that brings you. You know, it's really it's a paradox. But yes, the grounding of it is being honest, being present, and being available. That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. And how do we do that? The how.
By listening, trusting, and following your inner guidance, by going into peace as often and as deeply as possible. And any way you get there is a good way.
Yes.
You know? Yeah,
And that's what I love
yeah,
about inclusive. You know, if I looked at myself honestly from 10 years ago, if I was doing these lives 10 years ago, if I mentioned religion or I mentioned Jesus, it would be to try to convince people that it was all one way or another. And
yeah,
this is where I learn when we sit down and when we just listen and when we open up, we include and we, you know, and the whole spiritual journey. And I go back to this again and again with my teaching and all that. It's about compassion, and understanding for where everybody else is. You know, they are right where they are. You might not like where they are, you might not like where you're too, but you're still there.
sure, sure.
You know,
Loving what is. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, and like in traffic, in the practical sense of returning to peace, it's recognizing that no matter how much you jump away from peace when you're stuck in a traffic jam, you're still stuck in the traffic jam. And you may as well have peace being
right.
there.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, I mean, it's great. What you're really helping us to talk about here together is no matter how busy your life is or how simple your life is, and I've definitely had extremes of both, you're always with yourself in every given moment. And if you're at peace and you feel good about yourself and you're open to life, then spirit will come through you. If you're in anxiety or fear or upset, spirit is just not in any of those emotions. You know, God is love and peace, and if I'm 100 miles from love and peace, then I'm 100 miles from my connection to God. But if I'm in the traffic jam or the dentist chair or the argument with my partner, my friend, my girlfriend, my housemate, whatever, you know, it's still my idea of myself that I'm projecting into the world that the world is responding to. So as clear as I can be and as responsible as I can be, that allows more spirit to come through our experiences. And we know when we're doing it because it all is always better than we've imagined possible.
Yeah.
You know, that's what a miracle is. And life is, that's why it's a course in miracles. It's a required text. Because you have free will doesn't mean you can set the agenda. So when we give our free will to learning how to love ourselves and love each other and love life, life gives us many opportunities to do that every day.
Yeah. And you say about it, it feels much better than what we were expecting. It's it is quite incredible the way I can go somewhere now and I can be sat next to a river or I can be in a supermarket. I can be anywhere and suddenly you have this feeling of wow and this overwhelming feeling of just love for what is, and you're sat there literally in the toothpaste aisle, and everybody else must be thinking, but you're like, you're just overwhelmed by how amazing everything is, and how it feels, and how open and all that it is, and these experiences that I cannot ever imagine having after my ego kind of developed in my teens and early adults. And yeah, I don't know where that was going, but it does just feel great. It just feels like, and you're in that moment,
Yeah.
you're accepting everything for what it is. And I
Hmm.
think that that's the main thing. And we spend our life wanting to be happy, wanting this or wanting that, or when I just have this, or when I just have more spiritual practice, or when my meditation is perfect. They're all
Hmm.
already just the way they are. Just, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. Abraham, that's gorgeous. Abraham talks about life as appreciation. And when, as you said, when we're appreciating moments that fill us with awe or reverence or love or joy or happiness, that is when God is closest to all of us. That is what God is. God is that, to my mind, that is that transcendent experience of love, joy, and freedom. And I mean, honestly, again, coming back to channeling, I'm in love with those emotions, and I'm in love with being in moments with people where we invite those emotions back into our hearts and into our lives. And the more we practice these focuses and these emotions and these experiences on our own, and more deeply we believe them and trust them, to come back to vulnerability where we began, then the more spirit can work through all of us and show up in our experiences. And every, everything is change, everything is in motion. Um, Spirit wants to help us live a life of joy and meaning, but it is never going to force its way into our experience. If we open up to it, then it will always say, "Aren't you glad you trusted your inner guidance?"
Yeah. And we've already got everything we need. It's already there. It's just letting go
Yes.
of the noise above it that, it's just parting that veil of, what do you say? It's building a bridge and getting over ourselves.
Exactly, my friend. Thank you very much. Yes, you're very good. I
You
appreciate.
mentioned, just before we go, you mentioned that it wasn't these words, but you said you struggle with these things as well, the same as I do. And my biggest struggle at the
Sure.
moment, and I know that's not very the best way of putting it with mindset and words and all that, but the one thing
It's all right.
I have is I can give love to my inner child, the young little boy in me, but I find it very
Yeah.
hard to receive it. And I never knew receiving was part of the puzzle. I never considered that. The
Right.
giving of it is one thing. The receiving is it's like the almost the final step.
Hmm.
So that's my struggle at the moment. So what's your struggle at the moment? If you have a struggle, if there's something, because we
Well,
haven't got it all sorted.
no, man, you're absolutely singing my song, my friend. That's the heart of it right there. Uh, you know, um, I give a lot as you do, and I think of Springsteen's line from "Racing in the Streets." I'll be on that hill because I can't stop, and that's 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 I think our thing as well. Like we've done a lot of stuff, you and I, Stephen, and everyone on this call, and we're on this very deep spiritual path because it is the most important thing in our lives. And but giving and receiving, I mean, this is, I've literally been saying St. Francis's prayer at the end of my morning prayers every day. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. O divine master, grant that I seek no mo- O divine master, grant that I do not seek to be consoled, but to console, to be forgiven. Sorry, I'm losing the thread here. But you get the point here. This is why I'm sharing it. It is about giving and receiving.
Yeah.
It's the heart of the thing, and this is the deepest issue, especially for guys. You know, about being vulnerable, about being open, about being available. And so I just say to you and to everyone who's listening, you know, keep coming to the threshold of your comfort level and standing at the very boundary and invite the universe to take you the next step. That's the clearest way I can say it.
Yeah. It's about trust, isn't it? It's about the
Completely.
letting go of how you think it should be happening.
Trust is everything. That's a quote from my guides. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to leave it there because, and again, we'll do this more often than just a casual chat. It's been so great because
Right.
neither of us knew where this was going.
Sure.
And it's
Sure.
just these conversations enrich everybody and everything,
Thank you.
and it certainly
Thank you.
enriches me. So much gratitude for you, Lou, and everybody
Thank you.
else here in your comments. And I wish I could have given every comment way more attention than what I have. So a
You
big
do a great job.
heartfelt thank you.
Thank you for creating this space and for doing all that you do. You do a magnificent job, and we love you and appreciate you for it. From my heart to yours.
And we're going to leave with the wisest words. Just listen.
Peace and blessings. Namaste.